Alright, on zodiacal releasing. Zodiacal releasing reveals the structure of time itself, the chapters and verses of the soul's journey through incarnation. Releasing from the lot of spirit shows the unfolding of purpose, vocation, life direction. Releasing from the lot of fortune shows the unfolding of circumstances, health, material conditions. The periods are ruled by the planetary rulers of the signs through which the releasing passes. Each period carries the signature of its ruler. The loosing of the bond marks a turning point, a shift in the dynamic of the period, a change in the rules of engagement. Arrival at the sign containing the Lord of the lot indicates finding one's work, one's calling, one's essential purpose. Arrival at the place of the ruler of the period marks the defining event characteristic of that period's energy. Arrival at the other sign ruled by the same planet marks a watershed, a turning point, a change of direction. Eminence factors, triplicity rulers, derivative fortune houses, the part of exaltation, mark periods of recognition, achievement, visibility. The periods of zodiacal releasing are not predictions but frameworks. They show when certain themes are active, not how those themes will manifest. Mastery of zodiacal releasing requires years of study and practice. There are no shortcuts to this depth. On profections. Well, profections are the simplest of the Time Lord techniques and among the most reliable. Each year of life advances the ascendant by one sign, activating the house and its ruler for that year. The profected house shows the primary arena of experience for the year. The ruler of that house shows the quality of that experience. Planets in the profected house are activated. Transits to those planets carry extra weight. Profections work alongside transits and progressions. They are the stage upon which other techniques perform. The first year of life perfects the first house. The 7th year perfects the 7th house. The 10th year perfects the 10th house. Threshold years. Years when the profected house is angular are years of visibility. Years when it is cadent are years of inner work. The profected sign shows the quality of the year. Its ruler shows the means through which that quality manifests. Profections are particularly useful for timing events in specific life areas. Marriage, the 7th. Career, the 10th. In health, the 6th, etc. Combine profections with zodiacal releasing for extraordinary precision in timing. Dictums on relationship astrology. Pretty big one, right? We all need this to survive. On synastry. Synastry is the art of reading the space between, the relationships itself as a third entity, born of two, but greater than both. The houses of another's chart that contain your planets show where they will experience your influence most strongly. Venus contacting Venus suggests similar values. Mars contacting Mars suggests similar drive. The quality of the aspect determines the quality of the resonance. Sun-Moon contacts are among the most significant. The Sun person's purpose illuminates the Moon person's emotional needs for better or worse. Saturn contacts the personal planets create bond and burden simultaneously. The Saturn person stabilizes but also restricts. Outer planet contacts can be overwhelming if unprepared. Uranus electrifies, Neptune dissolves, Pluto transforms. Whether this is welcome depends on the individuals. The composite chart, calculated from the midpoints of both charts, shows the relationship as an entity with its own destiny. A composite sun in the 7th house suggests a relationship that is itself about relationship. A composite sun in the 12th suggests a hidden or karmic bond. Composite moons show the emotional tone of the relationship. Composite Saturn shows its challenges and longevity. No relationship is perfect in synastry, or even at all. Every bond has both gifts and prices. The question is not whether there are challenges, but whether the partners can meet them together. On karmic relationships, which is a brand of synastry, because when you think about it, we are all in karmic relationships with each other. We all just have our own karmic drama playing out with different people. So, Ketu contact suggests past life connection, familiarity that can become either comfort or captivity. Rahu contact suggests future-oriented relationships, partners who push each other toward growth for better or worse. Saturn contacts across charts often indicate karmic contacts, agreements made before birth, debts to be paid, lessons to be learned. Pluto contacts indicate transformational relationships. The partners will change each other at the deepest levels, whether they intend to or not. Karmic relationships are not necessarily romantic. They can be parental, filial, professional, or adversarial. The intensity of a connection is not evidence of its health. The most intense bonds are often the most toxic. Karmic relationships end when the lesson is learned. Staying beyond that point is attachment, not destiny. The houses of karmic contacts show the domain of the karmic work: 7th for partnership, 4th for family, 10th for career, etc. Recurring patterns across relationships indicate unresolved karmic material. Until the pattern is seen and integrated, it will repeat. Freedom in relationship comes not from avoiding karmic bonds, but from fulfilling them consciously and then releasing them with gratitude. On electional astrology for relationships. Well, the best time to marry is when Venus and Jupiter are harmonious and the moon is waxing. Avoid Mercury retrograde for wedding elections unless the relationship is unconventional and benefits from revision. The 7th house ruler dignified promises partnership. The 7th house ruler afflicted promises challenges. The moon applying to Venus or Jupiter blesses the union with harmony. The moon applying to Saturn or Pluto promises depth but also difficulty. The part of marriage, ascendant, and the 7th house cusp subtracting Venus in good condition suggests a fortunate union. Elections for commitment ceremony should honor both individual charts. The ideal election supports both partners' needs. A wedding chart is a birth chart for the marriage. It can be read like any other natal chart with transits and progressions unfolding over time. The 4th house of the wedding chart shows the home life. The 5th shows children. The 8th shows shared resources and intimacy. Fixed signs on the angles of the wedding chart suggest stability. Mutable signs suggest adaptability, but also potential instability. No election guarantees happiness. It only increases the probability of favorable conditions. The partners themselves create the marriage. All right, dictums on mundane astrology. I kind of want to change this color up to pink. There we go. On nations and collectives. Alrighty. So nations have birth charts determined by their founding moments, declarations of independence, constitutions, revolutions. Pluto returns of nations mark periods of profound transformation, often involving death, rebirth, cycles, and national identity. Saturn returns of nations mark periods of structural crises and reorganization. Uranus returns mark periods of revolution, technological transformation, and sudden change. Ingress charts for equinoxes, solstices, eclipses reveal the quality of the coming season for the collective. The chart for the moment a leader takes office reveals the quality of their tenure. Mundane astrology requires understanding of multiple charts simultaneously: nation, leader, significant transits, and the broader cycles of history. The outer planets in mundane charts show generational forces shaping collective experience. Uranus for revolution, Neptune for dissolution, Pluto for transformation. Eclipses falling on national angles mark significant turning points. Eclipses on the sun or moon of a national chart mark periods of collective identity crises. The astrology of nations is the astrology of collective karma, the choices of ancestors snapping the experience of descendants. On catastrophes and crises. The chart of a catastrophe is a birth chart for the event, revealing its meaning and consequences. Malefics, angular, and catastrophe charts suggest violence and destruction. Benefics, angular, suggests mitigation and rescue. Eclipses preceding catastrophes often activate the points involved. The lunar nodes in catastrophe charts show karmic dimensions, the event as collective consequence, as a turning point, as initiation. Catastrophes are not punishments, but expressions of the cosmic order. They reveal what was hidden, transform what was stagnant, awaken what was sleeping. The astrologer's role in catastrophe is not to explain suffering, but to contextualize it, to help survivors find meaning, to honor the mystery that exceeds all explanation. The same configuration that produces catastrophe in one context produces breakthrough in another. The chart alone cannot determine which. Mundane predictions must be offered with humility, recognizing the complexity of collective karma and the limitations of human perception. The most important question in mundane astrology is not what will happen, but what does this mean, and how shall we respond as a collective? In the face of catastrophe, the astrology becomes theodicy, the attempt to reconcile suffering with cosmic order. This attempt always fails and always must be attempted. All right. Dictums on esoteric astrology. On the soul's journey, aka the natal promise. So, esoteric astrology reads the chart not for personality but for purpose, not for what the self wants but for what the soul intends. The esoteric rulers of the signs, different from the exoteric rulers, reveal the soul's deeper curriculum. The moon's nodes show the karmic axes, where we have been, Ketu, and where we are going, Rahu. Chiron shows the wound that becomes the gift, the suffering that becomes the teaching, the broken place through which the light enters. The asteroids, Ceres, Pallas, Juno, Vesta, reveal additional dimensions of soul purpose, motherhood, wisdom, partnership, devotion. Fixed stars carry the memory of ancient myths. When planets contact them, those myths become active in the life. The part of fortune shows where the soul finds nourishment. The part of spirit shows where the soul finds direction. The vertex, the electric ascendant, shows fated encounters, turning points, moments when destiny becomes visible. The black moon Lilith shows the wild, the repressed, the power that has been denied, the return of the sacred feminine in all its forms. Esoteric astrology doesn't replace exoteric astrology, but deepens it. The personality is the vehicle through which the soul expresses its purpose. All right. On initiation and spiritual development. Initiation is marked in the chart by significant transits, particularly of Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, the personal planets and angles. Saturn return is the first great initiation of adulthood. The Uranus opposition around age 42 is the second. The Chiron return around age 50 is the third. Neptune transits to personal planets dissolve the structures that no longer serve. They feel like drowning, but are actually baptism. Pluto transits to personal planets strip away everything that is not essential. They feel like death, but are actually rebirth. Uranus transits to personal planets electrify the consciousness. They feel like madness, but are actually awakening. The lunar nodes transited by outer planets mark periods of accelerated karmic unfolding. Spiritual emergence and spiritual emergency are distinguished not by the transits, but by the container. The same energy that destroys one person enlightens another. The chart cannot tell you whether someone will awaken or break. It can only tell you the quality of the energy they are navigating. Spiritual teachers, gurus, and guides, monks, appear in the chart through Jupiter, Neptune, and the 9th and 12th houses. The ultimate initiation is death itself, the final transit, the last aspect, the completion of the soul's intention for this specific, particular incarnation. On the astrology of this year, 2026, we have a lot going on, per usual. So this year, Pluto fully settled into Aquarius. It begins its long work of transforming collective consciousness, technology, and community. Saturn in Aries is going to square Pluto in Aquarius throughout the year, creating tension between individual assertion and collective transformation, the central political and spiritual dynamic of the era. Jupiter in Cancer brings emotional nourishment, family focus, and the healing of ancestral wounds, generational karma. Jupiter in Leo after mid-year brings creative expansion, romantic opportunity, and the courage to express the authentic self. Neptune in Aries, through the sign of initiation, dissolving old identities and opening new spiritual frontiers. Uranus in Gemini, 7-year transit, revolutionizing communication, education, and the way we think. Rahu in Virgo, which is wrong. Which is really funny because Rahu, also known as the North Node of the Moon, is in Pisces. And I meant to say it's in its opposite, which is Ketu, being the South Node of the Moon, and that is its opposite in Virgo. Okay? Eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. This is going to highlight the axes of service and dissolution, health and spirituality. And we have the Saturn-Neptune square being the major aspect of the year, testing the foundations of reality, dissolving what we cannot stand, revealing the relationship between structure and transcendence. It's a year of thresholds between old and new, between dissolution and reconstruction, between who we have been and who we are becoming. Dictums on the practice of astrology, on reading charts, understanding them. So we begin with the ascendant, the face, the mask, the entry point. From there, we move to the sun, the purpose, the center, then to the moon, the feeling, the foundation. We consider the condition of the ruler of the ascendant. Where is it placed? How is it aspected? What it reveals about the native's capacity to meet life. And let's note the elements. Are they balanced? What is missing? What is excessive? The missing element is where the soul must stretch. The excessive element is where the soul must moderate. Note the modalities: cardinal, fixed, mutable. Too much cardinality burns out, too much fixity stagnates, too much mutability scatters. Consider the houses that contain planets. These are the active domains. The empty houses are not empty of experience. They are domains where the soul works through other means. Look for aspect patterns. They reveal the geometry of the soul. A T-square is a pressure cooker. A grand trine is a hot tub. A yod is a pointing finger. Consider the phase of the moon, the relationship between sun and moon at birth, as a key to the soul's fundamental rhythm. Note the retrograde planets. They show where the soul turns inward, where the work is internal, where the development is private. Consider the final dispositor, the planet that ultimately rules all others through chains of dignity, as a key to the soul's ultimate authority. The chart is a whole. No single factor determines anything. Synthesis is the art. On counseling. The astrologer's first task is to listen to the question, to the pain, to the hope hidden beneath the words. The astrologer's second task is to see, to perceive the patterns that the client cannot perceive, to reflect the truth that the client already knows but cannot articulate. The astrologer's third task is to speak with clarity, with compassion, with the courage to say what must be said. The astrologer's fourth task is to witness, to hold space for the client's response, to honor their process, to accompany them on their journey. The astrologer's final task is to release, to let the client go, to trust their wisdom, to know that the work continues beyond the consultation. Never tell a client what they cannot handle. You do not know what they can handle. Never withhold truth to spare feelings. False comfort is no comfort at all. Never claim certainty where uncertainty exists. The stars incline but do not compel. Never forget that the client is the authority of their own life. You are a consultant, not a commander. The best readings are those in which the client leaves feeling not that they have been told something, but that they have remembered something. On ethics. Confidentiality is absolute. What is shared in the consultation remains in the consultation. Informed consent is essential. Clients should understand what astrology can and cannot do, what you can and cannot offer. Boundaries are sacred. The relationship between astrologer and client is professional, not personal, and must remain so. Competence requires ongoing study. Astrology is infinite, and the astrologer who stops learning has stopped serving. Humility requires acknowledging limitations. When you do not know, say so. When you are wrong, admit it. When you are in over your head, refer. Avoid dependency. The goal is to empower clients to make their own decisions, not to need you for every choice. Avoid fatalism. The chart shows potentials, not certainties. Emphasize agency, choice, and the power of consciousness. Avoid fear-mongering. Difficult transits are opportunities for growth, not predictions of doom. Avoid grandiosity. You are a channel, not a source. The wisdom flows through you. It does not originate with you. The highest ethical principle is love. Love for the client, love for the art, love for the mystery that exceeds all understanding. On the astrologer's path, I'm right here with you. The path of the astrologer is a path of self-knowledge. Every chart you read is a mirror reflecting your own depths. The path of the astrologer is a path of service. Your gifts are not for your own glory, but for the healing of others. The path of the astrologer is a path of humility. The more you know how much you do not know. The path of the astrologer is a path of devotion. The stars deserve reverence, not exploitation. The path of the astrologer is a path of solitude. Much of the work is done alone, in study, in meditation, and prayer. The path of the astrologer is the path of community. You need teachers, colleagues, students, a lineage, a tradition, a tribe. The path of the astrologer is the path of integration. You must live what you teach, embody what you see, become the wisdom you channel. The path of the astrologer is the path of paradox, certainty and doubt, knowledge and mystery, power and humility, all must be held together. The path of the astrologer is the path of initiation. Each stage of development brings new tests, new deaths, new rebirths. The path of the astrologer is the path of love. In the end, only love matters. Only love remains. Only love makes the work worthwhile. All right. In our epilogue, the wizard's charge. And now, O seeker of the celestial fire, thou hast received the dictums. Let them not remain words on a page, but become blood in thy veins, light in thy eyes, wisdom in thy bones. Test them, question them, prove them true through thy own experience, for a dictum not tested is mere opinion. A dictum proven is living truth. Read charts, many charts, charts of the living and the dead, the famous and the obscure, the fortunate and the doomed. Let the charts teach thee what no dictum can convey. Make mistakes. Many mistakes. Learn from each. The astrologer who has never been wrong has never learned a damn thing. Serve. Serve with all thy heart, all thy mind, all thy soul, for in serving others thou servest the stars. In serving the stars thou servest the one who made them. And remember always thou art not alone. The lineage surrounds thee. The wise ones who came before, the students who will come after, the company of heaven that watches and waits and whispers. The stars speak. It's our turn to listen. With peace and love, subscribe, like, and comment, share this video. Keep me in the algorithm, and I will see you in the next video.